Welcome, everyone. We appreciate all of the pre-meds across the nation joining us today on our Altius Crazy MCAT Day. My name is Roger Muir. I'm the Vice President of Student Success here, and we're thrilled to be streaming today from our home offices in Provo, Utah. Hopefully you get to enjoy a little bit of the scenery behind us, the mountains here. It's been a beautiful season and a beautiful day. Hope you're having a great day as well. We're thrilled to be able to instill some great training and some powerful information for pre-meds. We've spent the day talking about admissions and MCAT prep, and we've given away some incredible prizes and awards. Been really a fun experience across the board, and we've heard back from several of the recipients that have received the awards and their gratitude and their excitement for the tools. And so we're going to give out more awards this afternoon and across the spectrum today as we do these various segments. We're basically jumping in at the top of each hour, giving a little bit of a training, free information and development for you, and then awarding some prizes through some drawings. This segment, we want to touch on the practice exams and the experience that you have as you prepare for taking your MCAT. It's pretty well shared across the board, nationally speaking, that the great concept for improving your readiness for the MCAT is practice, practice, practice. As I meet with pre-meds and individuals all over, I hear that that's kind of the strategies, just practice and practice and get ready. And although that in and of itself is a great first step, practice incorrectly is not proper preparation. Any performer, whether they be athlete or a musician or maybe a singer, if you're preparing for the big opening night when the curtains are going to spread and the audience is going to be filled with hundreds and thousands of people awaiting for your performance, obviously the manner in which you practiced and performed is just going to be processed and put out as you practiced all along. Very seldom do we do it differently on stage than we actually practiced over and over and over again beforehand. The best way to remove test anxiety and the nervousness and the stress of what you experience on test day is not simply to practice, 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 but more appropriately to practice perfectly those things that you're going to be expected to do on game day or on opening night, or in your case, on your MCAT test day. I want to help you with that this afternoon. What I really would like to give to you is an understanding of how to best practice and what to practice with. If we were to look at this as a sporting event and we were to touch on the process of really getting ready for, let's say, the World Series. If we knew we were going to get ready for the World Series, the biggest baseball game of the year, how much time or practice do you think we should spend with a golf club, with a tennis racket, with a bowling ball? It almost seems silly when I put the analogy together in that light. But I'm telling you, if you were to show up to the World Series with a bowling ball and a tennis racket, chances are the coach is not going to be putting you into the game. You're going to be sitting in the dugout, right? So when you know what the game is, and you know you've only got a few months left to practice and prepare, it becomes really important that you select those things that are going to give you the highest yield and the highest performance and the best chance of reducing your nerves and your test day anxieties, so that when you get into the middle of the actual experience, you're not worried so much about the equipment, and you're really able to actually focus on your performance and your development of that, okay? I'm going to spend some time informing you on that a little bit today through a process that we call over the cliff, okay? And I'm going to show you here on the screen this in a little bit of detail, but over the cliff to us is kind of that thought process of not seeing the curve in front of you as you're driving along a road And you think you know where you're headed. You think you know where you're going because you've practiced. You've been given advice and comments from your peers and different forums all over the internet. And you think you've got a pretty good game plan. And then you show up on test day, and that's the first time you actually see it for yourself. Oftentimes, that's a realistic experience for a lot of pre-meds where they think they've got an idea of what this MCAT is, but they've never really experienced it until the actual moment that it's going to count on their score and their transcript. I want to help you avoid going over the cliff and crashing and burning on what we call this over the cliff experience. So to that end, let me show you on the screen here a little bit of insight on some of what we've heard from students in regards to kind of a test day frustration. And let me just make sure you guys are able to see this properly. Imagine these types of things. And perhaps you guys on Instagram, let me just be cautious. As I go to my screen, this might not be showing up on the Instagram world, but the YouTube world, you'll see this quite clearly. Look at some of these comments from some of these students. This test was complete turn from every study resource emphasized. This includes the AMC study guide. How about this one? Pathways, and hormones and neurotransmitters, really dense, experimental, heavy questions. Holy freaking crap, says one student. That was the worst BB section I've ever taken. Why make practice exams when the actual thing is 10 times harder? What the freak? A lot of experimental stuff, really hard stuff, man. And the list just kind of goes on from that end, okay? Those are the things you kind of get in different forums after students come and take the test and finally see it for the first time, but they're freaking out because their reality is hitting them after they've hit submit and their score is being processed. With that in mind, I want to give you an understanding of what the real MCAT looks like and a clarity of the types of things you're going to see. Let's look at it first of all from the content, okay? Look at some of these passages that are showing up on your screen. I'll read this top one. Matrix-assisted laser distortion, ionization, MALDI, whatever that is, I have no clue, okay? Is a soft ionization technique used in conjunction with mass spectrometry to analyze proteins, protein fragments, and peptides in MALDI. A plate containing a sample is coated with 2.5, yada, yada, yada. I can't even try to pronounce that word, okay? You look down the screen a little bit and identify real MCAT, okay? It's very experimental. The thing you need to understand as it comes to the passages of the MCAT is none of them are cutesy or made up, okay? These are legitimate experiments that have taken place at universities or hospitals across the nation. And at some point, some of the things were just a matter of their experiment. And so maybe a new phrase was made up, or maybe they were testing something unknown. And as that all comes together, it's being presented to you in this MCAT world, not necessarily that you know or understand it all, but more as a question of how would you deal with this? Something that is new and foreign to you, what would you do with that? Now think about it as we talk about a passage, and let me relate that for a second to maybe a patient, right? Is it possible that later in your career, down the road a few years, you're going to connect with a patient that might not be clear in your mind who they are, what their background is, what they're really suffering from, and that you're going to have to analyze and diagnose and figure things out in regards to their life and their health, and do so in a timely manner, even though it might be a little bit new in the moment that they actually walk into your clinic or into the emergency room. That's the technique and the training and the development and the opportunity for you in regards to the MCAT. See, we know that you can memorize. You've spent 4 years at the university reading full-on chapters, memorizing formulas, and on Friday you puke it out on a test and you go, oh yeah, great, I got another good grade. And then next week you go back and you memorize again, you read the next chapter, you get all pumped up for the next test, and you go and you take that one and you score great and you move on. And then the next scenario, you start reading the third chapter and you realize, I don't remember that first chapter so much because I've now kind of moved on to other things. And it's served you well, and it's been great to your education up to this point. But now is the time to move to another level of education and knowledge and change in your behavior and your aptitude. And in order to do that, you've got to then move past just that memorization and develop the skill sets necessary to critically think and analyze this type of information and begin to identify which components of this aren't really necessary in getting the solution right and which components do I really need to focus on. And if you can spend your homework time practicing that and getting really good at being able to recognize what it's asking of you, your score will improve, your results will go higher, and your career will start to open up. Okay? Now, with that in mind and having seen what the real MCAT is like, let's take a look at some other practice materials. Okay? So I'm going to show you on the screen just some other practice materials that are out there. And I'm a little bit bold here, but I want to make sure you understand that what I'm trying to do is help you clearly see the difference between practice, the impact of using a bowling ball and a tennis racket and a golf club versus understanding what you're really trying to accomplish and then becoming very focused on ensuring that your practice is mirrored to the very expectation we're going to have of you on MCAT test day. So look at a couple of these passages. While dancing, a ballet dancer uses many principles of physics in order to balance, demonstrate flexibility and strength, and perform advanced turns. One of the primary skills of ballet dancer is superior balance. And it goes on. Start thinking now about the passage I read to you before that actually showed up on previous MCAT exams. And ask yourself if this practice would begin to help you prepare for the big MCAT day. Look at the second passage. Several manic gorillas are throwing objects from skyscrapers. At the exact same instant, one of the gorillas drops a table directly downward. Another throws a 20-kilogram refrigerator horizontally with a velocity of 10. I'll stop there. You can look over some of these things. This, my friends, is what I mean by going over the cliff. When you practice for 2, 3, 4, 6 months with these types of questions and information, having spent the time, having spent the money to purchase the materials, having put in the sacrifice of not going out with your friends on Friday night so you can do your homework, and you practice in this light, you are going to feel like I did my part. I went in and gave it my all. And then on test day, you're going to see the examples that I showed you from the real thing. And you're going to walk out of there going, oh my gosh, what just happened? Right? This is the hardest thing I've ever experienced. And it's a crazy experience for most pre-meds because you guys are pretty well achieved, accomplished. You're high achievers. And you've had the ability of showing yourself what it takes to perform at high levels. You're willing to work hard, make sacrifices, and get the job done. However, that effort has to match the reality of what you're going to see on test day. And when that does, it comes together in a magical way. But if you spend the same amount of time, money, study, homework, and you're using baseballs and tennis rackets, and you're using bowling balls and golf clubs, you're going to have to be really, really cautious when you actually step into that test and ensure that you feel prepared and comfortable and can walk away without the test anxieties that so many people feel. Okay? So with that in mind, I want to give you really an insight of the difference that this can make from a, shall we say, visual stance. Okay? Screen shows a variety of tables, charts, graphs that have shown up on previous MCAT exams. Okay? Notice the complexity. Notice the multiple variables and the various controls being considered just in one graphic, okay? Notice that there's nothing cutesy, colorful, animated, okay? There's nothing animated about the MCAT. It's science, and it's presented in that prestigious experimental mentality and language. This is the real MCAT. Now, visually speaking, I'm going to show you what most pre-meds across the nation are practicing with, okay? Can you see how looking at these types of images, one might feel like, I get it, but this works for me. I understand this. It's convenient. Absolutely. I understand convenience. I understand it clicking at the current level that you're at. But this designed, standardized test is not put out for the sake of your convenience, your current comfort level, okay? It's designed to find those individuals that understand it and get it. Let me put it to you in this light. When you apply to medical school, you're going to send your transcripts from your university, automatically is going to go. They're going to know how you scored in chemistry, biology, physics, OChem, and the such. They're already going to know what kind of scientist you are, what kind of biologist you've become. They're not looking for that. So why then put you through this whole MCAT torturous experience? It's really clear. Of all of you hardworking pre-meds, of all of you that have gotten great scores in GPAs and all of these science classes, the next question is, which of you already have the aptitude towards critically thinking, analyzing, diagnosing, and actually getting the prescription right? You see, in a coming day, you want to be the one with the white lab coat. You want to be the one to make the decision. Should we amputate their leg? Should we deliver the baby today? Should we open up their chest and give heart operation? What kind of medication do they need? See, those are really important decisions, and you're going to be empowered to make those decisions. But the question today is, are you already on the track for that? The thing the MCAT does a great job of is it helps identify individuals that already think like that already behave in that kind of demeanor. And it shows up really well on your MCAT and in your score. Altius does a really great job of teaching and training that before you even get into medical school, so that your nerves, your test anxiety on test day just drop tremendously. You perform a lot better because you've seen it many times before, and it's familiar and comfortable to you. And so to that end, I want to just share with you a little insight from some of the students that have experienced the Altius practice exams and some of the changes that that's done for them. So we're going to switch over to a little video, again, that will come through on the YouTube side. And then I'll chat with you for just
Because of Altius, I felt plenty prepared as far as format of the test goes, timing. Honestly, I don't feel like I had any surprises, and I don't know what could be more comforting than that come test day.
I felt that the practice tests that Altius provided were very representative of the real MCAT.
The Altius interface was almost exactly like the AMC one.
It just felt like taking another practice test. I had taken so many of them from Altius, and it felt just the same as any other practice test I had gone through.
The Real MCAT was like another Altius practice test.
They really do feel like the real thing. They had the same looking menus and even down to like the highlighting tool.
The tools that I learned through those tests directly applied to my MCAT.
I think there's like a spectrum, you know, there's the really casual, like do, just clicking stuff, and stressed out, don't know what I'm doing, and I was very much leaning towards this isn't all that bad. I'm calm, collected, I have lots of extra time left over at each section.
I didn't have any freak out moments.
I felt ready, I felt prepared.
There were several times throughout the test that I had to kind of remind myself, like, oh, this isn't a practice test. Like, this is the real thing.
Test day was not that big of a deal, actually.
When I walked out, I was like, whoa, was that really the MCAT? That was what I was studying for? Whew, I feel really good about that. I don't know if I should feel really good about that, but I feel really good. All right, let's see what happened.
So with that gives you an idea of, you know, from the student's perspective, something that was very different than what the overall, national experience is. Some of you have read that on various forums, or you've talked with classmates where they come out of that and they just hype up this frustration and concern. And we've got like this underwritten anxiety and pressure on pre-meds that this is the most dramatic, overwhelming thing in your life. I don't understand it. Personally, here at Altius, we don't understand it. We would not expect this type of behavior or anxiety from our neurosurgeons, from our heart surgeons, from our pediatricians, would we? No, because we don't just let them run rampant and do whatever they want in preparation for an operation. They're trained, they're skilled. There are people that understand this material, true? Can we all agree that regardless of where you're logging in from, there's a hospital close by to you where they're saving lives this very moment? They're doing incredible surgeries. They're taking care of people. This information isn't new to the world. It's new and foreign to you, so you're a little bit nervous and scared, which is understandable. Much like a kid that's learning to ride a bike for the first time. Right? Remember when you were first learning to ride a bike and you're like, scared, and you got to take the training wheels off, and I'm going to like crash into a car or wreck into the concrete. I remember for me, I was like afraid my handlebars would get caught in the chain link fence. I'd be like, right? Those were fears and anxieties until you learned the balance of it. Remember mom and dad walking behind you? I call that your mentor, right? That individual that helps you while you figure out the balance of it. But once you figure out the balance, oh my gosh, my friends, incredible, powerful change. Remember that point where you finally learned, you actually like took off and mom and dad were clear back. I remember that day. And all of a sudden, within a second, I could ride a bike. And I've ridden a bike the rest of my life. However, there's been enough time between that day and today that I've actually gotten good at it, right? Some of you know how to pop wheelies, right? Like me, you ride your bike without even holding on to the handlebars. See, that's a confidence level that's very different than just cramming for an exam. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about not just practice, but doing it in such a way and a mannerism that you actually build confidence. You change your behavior and your approach to where it becomes part of your nature, so that when your friends say, hey, let's go on a bike ride, you don't like, oh, I have to think this through, and should I, and can I, and will I be okay? No, it just naturally happens, and you jump on the bike and go. That's how great heart surgeons actually approach the next surgery that they're going to do tomorrow morning. And that's how you will be able to approach your MCAT if you practice and prepare properly and put that in such a format that your confidence is lifted and it's familiar and comfortable to you. That's what we're talking about, okay? So as I go back into this, this screen share here, I want to show you just some examples of the Altius practice materials. These are some of the types of passages that you're going to see in regards to the language, the phraseology, technology. It's been asked of us on chat in regards to how does this, face up in regards to cars. Wow, powerful. Every bit as strong. You need to understand that none of these exams were created by like some guy in a garage, okay? We have a team of 26 PhDs, great professors from universities all over the nation that understand their sciences and that thoroughly understand the MCAT. And their desire and their quest was to give to you proper tools to practice with. Could you imagine a pilot learning to fly a plane by, I don't know, remote control or riding a bike? No, we put pilots through a lot of simulation, real legitimate experiences simulated before they actually fly a legitimate 737 off of a runway, right? That's the type of training I'm talking about. And so it's a little bit different than maybe what you've been accustomed to. It might be a little bit different than what you were thinking, but this is a serious career and this is a serious opportunity, and it demands and deserves your serious respect and your serious preparation. But you don't have to go at it alone, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel and start from scratch. There are incredible PhDs and fantastic physicians and surgeons that are all a part of our team that have assisted you in getting those types of tools and resources. Look at the screen again and just look at the graphic side of this, okay? Look at the complexity of these. Does this mirror what I just showed you were real MCAT test experiences? They do. It's intentional. It's because nothing that we present in our test or cutesy are made up. It all comes from peer-reviewed academic journal entries, legitimate science that we didn't make up, but we've just compiled it for you in the same mannerism and format that you're going to see on test day, so that when you get there, you can have some of the same types of comments you just heard about on this video, okay? So I want to make that available for all of you. So with that in mind, the first thing that we're going to do is ensure that everyone that participated in this crazy MCAT day is receiving a full-length practice exam at no cost. So luck of the Irish has been blessed upon you all, and it's my pleasure to let you know that we will be emailing you the login credentials for you to be able to take a full exam. This is like an 8-hour experience, okay? So reserve some time on your calendar and be able to access that. We'll make that available for you. The beautiful part about this is beyond the experience of the test is the score itself. We've worked really, really hard to hone in the score scale to be extremely predictable of your performance. We've heard of experiences where students said, yeah, I went and took the test and I got like 8 points better than any practice exam I ever took. Well, that's a great surprise, and I hope it worked out for them. But we do not live in the world of surprises, right? When you and I as physicians and surgeons perform the operation, we don't want to like get lucky and like save the person on the last minute just because we got an 8-point lift by surprise. That's not how this career should work. You should know scientifically exactly where you're at. You should know what your instruments are telling you. You should know what your data and your reports are telling to you. And you should be able to gauge decisions and clarity on that information. And the Altius practice exams are legitimately honed in. Most of our students score on their real MCAT within a couple of points as they're doing on our practice exams. And so it'll let you know where you're at. It'll help you gauge. I want to give you that experience. So plan on getting that free full-length exam, okay? Now, the exciting news is that we have 10 of those. So if you want the other 9, they're available. They're $40 each. So you can get the entire set of 10 for $400. We discount that down to $300 if you buy the bundle. But I'd like you guys to receive that at half of that price even. So I'm going to put up on the screen a little code for you so that you can actually order the set of 10 for just $150. If you purchase them by the end of March, you can receive that for $150. Share that with your friends, your pre-med buddies that have not participated today. Let them know if they're looking for really powerful practice material and they're getting ready to test here in May or June. This would be a great resource for them to have. Extremely affordable. We want you to have that. Okay? So with that, I want to award our prize for this segment. This is a self-paced course. This does not have any of the mentoring. We're really well known for our one-on-one mentoring, working with tutors that have actually crushed the MCAT. But there's some individuals that feel like they can tackle this on their own. And if you're going to tackle this on yourself and create your own study plan and your own work schedule and tackle it in that light, we want you to at least have the most accurate material, the most focused textbook, the most accurate practice exams, and a real clarity of what you're working with. So we do offer a self-paced program. It's a $1,000 purchase for that material. It's available at a discounted rate, but we do have a full tuition scholarship available that is being awarded right this minute to Madison Chance. Madison Chance from Indiana State University. Congratulations. Watch for an email or for text from my staff. They'll be shooting out some information to you and we'll get connected so that you can claim this prize. Congratulations, Madison. Okay. For the rest of you, thank you so much for participating in this segment. I hope that was helpful and enlightening. And I want to ensure that you're aware of the prizes that are going to be given out throughout the rest of the day. At the top of the next hour, we're going to be participating in an Altius class. We're going to give you a little introduction to what that might look like and feel like if you were working in a classroom environment with our mentors. And we'll be giving away some additional prizes. At the 3 o'clock hour, that's 3 o'clock Mountain Time, we're going to be giving away our grand prizes for the day, a full tuition scholarship to our $7,000 Platinum Mentoring course, along with several other prizes that we'll be drawing for. We're going to be giving away one of our silver courses, another one of these elite courses, a lot of things that will be happening at that 3 o'clock hour. Okay, 3 o'clock Mountain Time, grand prizes. Also, later this afternoon, we're going to spend some time with the Altius executives and do a little Q&A with the executive team. And I love what's going to happen at 5 o'clock Mountain Time. You're going to meet my friend Eric Milstein, who suffered a very tragic accident and went from being a marathon runner to a quadriplegic. And he's going to share a little bit of his experience of interacting with his medical team and the impact of what that might mean to your careers. So another great day. And as part of that experience with that segment, we're going to be giving away a half tuition scholarship and an iPad and several other things that are in motion. So thank you so much for joining and for participating. And we look forward to working with you again here in a few minutes.